All right, this is round two of this episode. I recorded it last night and I totally messed it up. So let's see if we can get a better job. I'm going to be looking all different places. I don't know. I did some research. I'm supposed to look at the camera, but I got notes right here and then the fucking, I don't know. I said that before. Anyway, this video thing's weird to me, so I'll get used to it. But anyway, so I'll start off with a couple updates. I remember saying this. I think it was on the live. If you're not checking it out, I'm going live on Instagram at Machine Studio every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific and every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific. Just answering questions, just talking to people about whatever they want to talk about. So if that's of interest to you, hop on there at Machine Studio. What I mentioned there was just a quick update on, I'll move the notes over here. So at least now I'm looking at my notes. Now I'm looking at you. Look at that. Okay. Well, fuck. It's harder to read them. I'm a mess. The updates, I got 3 interviews lined up. So I wanted to get a few done before I start putting them on the weekly rotation. And so we have a guy from Graffiti Archive. I still don't know how he's going to be referred to, maybe his first name, or I'm not too sure, but Graffiti Archive on Instagram, the Graffiti Archive. He's got tons of cool photos from LA graffiti from dating back to the 80s up until recent times. So it'll be really interesting to talk to him and see kind of like how he sees, the how he saw the culture unfold over the years and all this kind of stuff. He was a writer. I don't know. I'll let him tell the story. So then also got Skill from UTI and the host of Classic Burners podcast. I'm really excited to talk to him. There's going to be, I don't know. We'll see what kind of topics we get into, but he's done a lot of cool things and I don't know. We'll see what the conversation goes. And then Kyle from Devastator is going to be on at some point. So I'm thinking if I get a few of those recorded, then we'll be consistent every week, and I'll be doing these every week. And then the interviews, I don't want to call them interviews because I'm hoping they'll be more like a conversation, like how Cub and I used to be. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to get a few lined up before I get too far into it. All right, so I'm already wasting time. So let's get into the topic. I was thinking about this idea of, and I don't know if it's the right terminology, but it's like being addicted to different types of thought patterns. And I was researching this because I'm kind of stuck in this fucking mic. I was kind of stuck in this negative pattern, and I talked about this a little bit a couple episodes back. And the sort of idea is, I'm going to be looking over here at my bullet points. So I got bullet points I want to get through, but one of the things that I think is happening is, one, I've created a habit of thinking this way, and this is how it affects me personally, but I think other people can relate to this. It's like when you set a thermostat in your house, and I've used this analogy a long time ago, but you set a thermostat in your house, let's say you set it to 70 degrees. As the temperature outside changes, it's going to keep either heating or cooling the house to keep it at that level. So you're always going to end up back at 70 degrees. So if you're continuously thinking certain types of thoughts, like my thing is like, I worry a lot. So I worry about all this kind of stuff about like my business, having problems. I worry about my dogs getting sick. I worry about something happening to Jessie when she's out. And a lot of times it's irrational. That's how I've always been. And so what I think has happened is I've created a habit of having those kind of thoughts. And so, for example, I've mentioned this before, like I pretty consistently wake up in the middle of the night and I start stressing out about shit. And I think I've wired my brain right now to think that that's the baseline. Like I've set the thermostat at like stressed out about shit. And so whenever I wake up or whenever, I'm just going about my day, I feel like my brain is trying to get me back to that baseline that it thinks I'm supposed to be at. So I started researching some other concepts along these lines to see if there was some truth to being addicted to this kind of stuff, because I was thinking about it and I was like, I know I have a phone addiction. Like I don't doom scroll a whole lot, but I'm posting content across all these different platforms. So I post on Instagram, I post on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. So like I always have this compulsion to like go and look at all those things and see like messages and you know, notifications and respond to comments and all that kind of stuff. And while I'm, you know, I feel like it's what I need to do to grow my business and grow the brand and all that stuff. But there is a compulsion to like grab the phone all the time when, you know, I think it would be more healthy to maybe have set times a day where I'm like, okay, I'm going to post at this time and then I'll respond to comments and respond to stuff within this time frame and then leave it for a while. And then, you know, so go in and check in and clear out all the messages, clear out all the comments and do all that kind of stuff all in one shot. But what's happening now is like, I'm just picking up the phone all the time. Like anytime I have downtime, I'll pick up the phone and I'll check the DMs, I'll check the messages, check the notifications, all this kind of stuff, respond to comments. I'll do all that stuff like over and over again throughout the day. So I've formed this habit of always grabbing the phone anytime, you know, there's downtime. And I don't think that's a healthy habit. I'm fairly certain that it isn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense to do that. So I'm trying to limit that and trying to use the phone. The phone has the shit on there where you can see how much time you spent on it in a day. So I'm trying to get those numbers down. But I kind of lost track of where I was going. But I feel like, I know what I was talking about. So the same feeling that I get when I'm sitting there and I'm not doing anything, the same feeling I get, like the desire to grab the phone, it's kind of the same pull that I feel to start stressing out about stuff. So for example, when I wake up in the middle of the night, a lot of times when I wake up, if I catch myself early enough, the first thing I do is try to tell myself, don't think about anything, and like try to kind of maintain control over my mind so that it doesn't start going off on a tangent of worrying about something. And so I feel like those things feel the same to me. So that's where I kind of thought maybe that it is sort of a form of addiction. So one of the things I came up with, well, I didn't come up with it, I came across it. It's I'll just read it to you. It says that there's biological factors in this. So stress and negative thoughts can trigger the release of certain chemicals in the brain like cortisol and adrenaline, which can become addictive over time as the body gets used to functioning with these elevated levels. So doesn't that kind of seem like, you know, you're creating this habit of stressing out? I am, but I'm sure other people do this. I know other people do this. I've had this conversation before. So when you do that, your brain releases these chemicals because my understanding of it is like, even though I'm stressing out about stuff like my dog getting sick or my business having problems or something happened to Jessie, like she got in a car accident or something, those are pretty irrational thoughts to a certain extent. I mean, worry isn't really going to solve any of those problems. It's not like, I don't know. So there's not a lot of rationality. Is that a word? Rationality around all that stuff. But what I understand is that your brain is wired to react to those kind of thoughts because it believes you're in danger. So it's going to release these neurochemicals, I think they're called, or neurotransmitters. It's going to release these things to help you overcome that situation that you're in. So my understanding is it's from like back when we were out in the food chain. So when you start to stress out, your brain's like, okay, fight or flight mode, you know, let's get ready to run or fight or whatever. So it's releasing things to, you know, kind of strengthen you and get you prepared for whatever it is that you're about to get into. So if you're sitting here just having those thoughts, then you're kind of putting your brain in that mode. And so that's why I think that's my understanding of why it releases those chemicals. And then when it does that, the way I see it happening is it's like you're setting the thermostat that like, this is where we need to be. This is our baseline. So if you you get super stressed out, it's going to want to take you back down to that level. But if you're like calm and relaxed down here, it's going to want to pull you back up. So I find that pretty interesting. And I also find it a little bit empowering when you think about it, because like any other habit, you could choose to form the habit of the other side, of maybe having more positive thoughts and calming, relaxing thoughts or something like that. So I'm going to go through some of these other things. I got my pointer here, but these two monitors are kind of screwing me up a little bit. So I could scroll down a little. One thing I came across, and I'll just read this. It says there's psychological comfort. So this isn't a word I use. Paradoxically, I think that's it. Paradoxically, negative thoughts can provide a form of psychological comfort or familiarity, even if they are harmful. This familiarity, I have a hard time with that word. This familiarity can make it difficult to break the cycle. So I kind of see that as like, your comfort zone when you think about it. So, we have that in all these different things. Your comfort zone of like speaking in front of people, or graffiti is like a good example. Like I have my comfort zones of different styles that I like to do. And when I think about trying to venture out of those comfort zones, it's kind of stressful. I think about, going on a wall and just kind of like freestyling and trying to come up with some new shit. It's kind of a stressful thing because you put it out there in the public, and then, it might look like shit. You might not be happy with that. But I think the same could be said about if you're sort of conditioned to have these kind of different thought patterns. And for me, it's like worrying all the time. Maybe that is my comfort zone, and I just need to kind of get uncomfortable and form the habit of, kind of breaking into a different way of thinking. Because I know I'm not like stressed out 24 hours a day. It's just when I do get into those phases where I am more stressed than normal, it's pretty problematic because I'm not as productive. And then that stresses me out, So I have some bullet points here on how to overcome it and some of the things that I'm doing. It's pretty similar to a lot of the things I talk about, but I'll try to cover it in a way that's very specific to this. So one thing I talk about all the time is meditation and mindfulness. So there's two ways to look at this. And so for me, I started meditating probably around 2009, 2010. And I used to do it very consistently, where I would set time aside and meditate for like 20 minutes. And then eventually it sort of turned into something that I think is not optimal. I don't know. It's not ideal, I don't think, because now I find myself just using it when I need it. And I think I was better off when I was doing it consistently. So the way I see it is like, if you're doing it consistently, I see it like physical exercise. So when you're exercising consistently, your body is just operating better. And I think like you're releasing endorphins, and, the more consistent you're exercising, the better your health is overall. So the better your heart health is, your resting heart rate may go down to a more healthy level. All these kind of things happen with the consistency. It's not like you just exercise every now and then when you think you need it. And I feel like meditating is similar to that. So it's similar but different. So like, let's say you're on a consistent schedule. By doing that, you automatically lower your stress levels, because first of all, you're giving, depending on the kind of meditation you do, the kind of meditation I do is mainly giving your mind a break, and you try to focus on, different things. There's lots of other ways to do it. So you can choose a mantra. I think that's how the transcendental meditation works. Well, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to say, but my understanding is you don't choose a mantra. You have to have some paid guy do it, but I don't know. I don't do that. I'm not saying it's bad. I just never really looked into it. So the type of meditation I do is just like focusing on your breathing. And there's some other ones too. I won't get too far into it, but It's mainly just drawing your focus onto something else other than just letting your mind run wild. And by doing that, you're giving your mind a break. And I think by doing that consistently, you're automatically sort of introducing more calm and I don't know, stillness or whatever into your life. So the consistency of doing that. The other thing that's really powerful about it is when you do it a lot. Like when you first start, it's really hard to turn your mind off and quiet your mind. It's still, I mean, I think it's always hard unless you're really, really good at it. But it's, in the beginning, it's especially difficult and it almost seems impossible for a lot of people. So over time, the more you practice, so the idea is like, let's say you were going to do the breath one. I would say if you're going to do it, start small, just maybe 2 minutes or something like that. Don't try to do 20 minutes all at once because it might be frustrating. So let's say you set a timer for 2 minutes and your whole goal is to focus on your breath for that whole 2 minutes. What's going to happen for most people is your brain is immediately going to start just thinking about all kinds of stuff. And then you got to keep reeling it back in and bringing your focus back to your breath. And so the more you practice that, the better you get at it to the point where like you can shut your thoughts off immediately. And I can do that now. It's just the trick is keeping them off. So like I can just shut everything off. Like if a song is stuck in my head, I can just completely stop it, immediately, but then it creeps back in. It's hard to keep it all, calm and quiet in there. But that's the skill you can develop. So if you're getting really stressed out about something, it's a pretty powerful thing to be able to quiet your thoughts. And I learned to do that through meditation. So another thing I've talked about before is gratitude practice. There's a lot of different ways to do that. A lot of people, do gratitude journaling where it has you list like several things to be grateful for and be grateful for the good things in your life. But I choose to do a different one. And I've talked about it before. I got it from the guy, Marcus Anderson, the host of the Octa Nonverba podcast. And so he talks about the way he refers to that gratitude practice of being grateful for the stuff that's good in your life. I think he calls that like bullshit gratitude or something. Cause, his idea is that it's easy to be grateful for the things that are good because those are the good things in your life. Not so much saying that you shouldn't be grateful for those things, but at the same time, being grateful for the things that are hard, I think is more powerful. And that's what I got from him. And that's the kind of practice that I do. So when I practice gratitude, I try to focus on all the things that are bothering me the most and be grateful for those things because I know that's where all the lessons are. I know that that's where all the growth is. You grow through adversity and hardships more than you grow through things, being easy. It's like if you go to the gym and you kind of just do like a real easy workout and you don't really push yourself at all. You're not going to gain as much. I don't know, whatever your goal is, you're not going to improve whatever that is as fast as if you really pushed yourself and put yourself into a more difficult situations. So when I do practice gratitude, I do try to find great gratitude for those things that are hard. And I immediately start to feel a little better. I think for everything, the trick is when you do these things, the stuff starts creeping back in. And that's the hard part. Okay, so the next one I have is physical activity. So I talk about this all the time. That I think for my mental health, the best thing that I ever did was get in shape and create more healthy habits as far as eating healthy and working out regularly. I'm always struggling with consistency. So I need to get better about that for sure. But when I was living very unhealthy and I was on antidepressants and I was doing all this extracurricular stuff that was fucking with me, I didn't really feel like I had a chance to get out of this mess, And I'm not saying my mental health is like perfect now, but it's way better than it used to be. And so getting myself healthy, creating more healthy habits in my life around physical activity and food, I was able to get off the antidepressants. And I know there's people that should be on it no matter what you do, so I'm not trying to give any advice. Whatever it is that you need to do, that's up to you to figure out. But for me, I was kind of like, I don't think I'm supposed to be on these things. I think the only reason that I am on them is because I'm living an unhealthy lifestyle, and these things are kind of helping, not be so fucked up in the head when I'm, not treating myself well. So there's a lot of research around how physical activity really helps your mental health. And I think it's probably one of the best things you could do. So another thing I've been working really hard on is sleep hygiene. I don't know. That's not my word. That's something I came across. But so establishing regular sleep routines and trying to make your environment more sleep friendly, I guess you could say. And so a couple of things that I've been doing is lately I've been reading before bed. I find like it calms my mind. I also did what's called a sleep chronotype test. And when you go on there, you answer a bunch of questions, and then it tells you sort of what your ideal bed and sleep and your ideal bedtime and wake up time is. And I remember I was trying to get up really early, like 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and I would crash around 1:30 or 2 o'clock. And after I did the sleep chronotype test, it said that it classifies you as an animal, and I think it classified me as a bear. And it said that bears are supposed to sleep, around bedtime around 11 p.m. and wake up around 7 a.m. So it was a little bit later than I was normally waking up, but I tried it, and it was one of the best things that I ever did for a lot of things, honestly, because moving my bedtime and wake up time to what it suggested, I actually found I didn't crash in the afternoon anymore. So I still have some trouble sleeping in terms of waking up. I can fall asleep real easy, but I wake up in the middle of the night pretty regularly. So, but anyway, so even though I do wake up in the middle of the night, I still find I have energy throughout the day. So I think finding that sleep chronotype is something that can help a lot of people. The other thing I did was I bought one of those sleep masks. It feels really weird to wear it, but like in the morning, about 5 in the morning, it starts getting light, and then the room gets light. I know I can put blackout curtains up, but part of me wants to have the sun come in. I don't know. I feel like if I had blackout curtains, like I would never want to get up. So at least with the sleep mask, I can raise it up, and based on how light it is in the room, I'll know, it's about time to get up. But I found that really helpful, because if I had woke up around 4 o'clock in the morning and I was having trouble falling asleep, and then it starts getting light out, that would be very challenging to get, to sleep until 7, or at least lay there until 7. So the sleep mask was really helpful for me. So the other thing is breathing exercises. I used to do box breathing, and a lot of people find it super helpful, but I never really felt like it was working for me. I don't know if maybe I was doing it wrong, but the box breathing, my understanding of it is you inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and you do that cycle several times. And it's supposed to, I can't remember what the terminology is, but it sort of shifts your brain into like a different mode, and it reduces your stress levels. I used to do that a lot when I would get really stressed out, especially when I would wake up in the middle of the night. I just didn't find it worked for me. But I came across this video like just a couple days ago. What's his name? David Huberman, something Huberman. I always forget his name. I don't know. I'll link it in the notes. So if you're on YouTube, it'll be in the in the description or caption. I don't know what they call them. On audio, it'll be in the show notes. But this breathing technique, like the way he described it, he said it's going to immediately reduce your stress levels. And I was like, yeah, right. But the shit worked so fucking well. So like what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to inhale like a full inhale, and then you kind of do a sharp inhale at the end to like kind of sneak in a little bit more air, and then you exhale slowly. And you do that 3 times. And it's amazing how fast your stress levels go down. So I use it all the time. Well, I forgot about it, so I didn't use it for a few days. And then when I was getting ready to record this episode, I came across it again, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that. And so I started doing it again, and it is just so helpful. The video is only 4 minutes long, so I'll link it. I would suggest taking a look at it because this was like really, really helpful for me. Back to the idea, another thing in my bullet points here is journaling. So the way that I find it helpful is even when I'm not really stressed out, but my mind is just going over all of these different things that I have to do. Like I have to contact this person, I have to do this, I have to do that. And, I do the power list, so I write down what I need to do that day. But then there's always all these little things and like problems that I'm going to have to address at some point, but there's no like bullet point or, task that I need to take care of. But it's something that's occupying space in my mind. And so the form of journaling that I find helpful is doing kind of like a brain dump. So if my mind is going through all that stuff, I just sit down at my desk and I'll just write all of that shit down. And once I'm done clearing everything out, I find that I'm a lot calmer because I feel like by doing that, you're sort of giving your brain permission to not run through all that shit. It's almost like your mind knows, okay, all this stuff's written down, so now I don't have to like hold on to all this shit anymore. So I find that really helpful. I'm trying to keep these 2 things that I already do, but I think this one that I came across is important, and it's seeking professional help if you need it. So, if you're really struggling and you can't get a hold of it, then I would highly suggest seeking professional help. I can't speak from experience because I don't really have any. I've talked to people like a handful of times over the years, but it's been a really long time and it's not something that I do. But I do know that, I've lost some people in my life that, I have to wonder if they had reached out, maybe they would still be here. So if you're really struggling, I would say like, just drop any, I don't know what holds people back. I would assume that like maybe some shame or some embarrassment or something. I don't know. Maybe it's money. There's probably some, there's probably all kinds of resources if you just Google it. But if you're really struggling, I don't see any problem with doing that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I could benefit from that. I don't really know. It's not something that I've done, but came across it and I thought it seemed, well, I mean, it's obvious. Yeah, do it. Do it if you need it. The other thing, visualization techniques. I talked about this in the focus episode, so I won't go too crazy about this. But one thing that I don't do this, but what I found when I was researching is people were talking about visualizing peaceful scenes or positive outcomes, so like the peaceful scenes, I've never tried that. So I don't really know, but I have seen that before where people have talked about, when you're really stressed out, if you visualize a place where you were happy. So like maybe there was like some fucking river that you went to as a kid or something like that. If you kind of visualize yourself there and do it in great detail, like hear the water, feel the ground that you're sitting on and just look around, see little rocks and all this kind of shit. See if you can see shit in the water, like really get super detailed about how you're visualizing. I would imagine that would take you into a more calm and peaceful state, although I've never done it. But I do the other kind of visualization where I picture like things that I want in the future. So like I had said in the focus episode about going to the facility that Machine's going to have in the future. And so, I mean, that calms me down, but I think a lot of it has to do with you're taking your mind out of whatever stressful kind of thoughts that you're having and you're focusing on something else that's positive. So I'm a big fan of that. So that's all I have. That I just got to the end of my bullet points. So I'll do a quick recap and then we'll get out of here. So we started off with the concept that maybe you're creating a habit of whatever kind of thought patterns you have. So for me, it's kind of like worry or this kind of impending doom type of shit. So what I feel like I've done is created a habit. So whatever that is for you, you may be creating these habits of different thought patterns that maybe you don't want to have. So start to create habits around the positive stuff. And then we talked about biological factors, and we went over some strategies to overcome the addiction. I don't even know if it's really addiction. I don't know. What do I know? But there's lots of different things you could do. Physical activity is a big one for me, meditation, all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to get going. Really appreciate you guys supporting the podcast. If you're listening to this on audio, you can find it at Bus MSK on YouTube. There's video there. I'm going to be doing other stuff on that channel, some different graffiti type things, probably painting. And then, like I said, we're going to bring some guests to have conversations, and we'll see what those are like. I'm assuming they're going to be cool. But anyway, appreciate you supporting the podcast. And yeah, I guess that's it. That works. All right, good.
Appreciate each and every one of you guys who are supporting the cause and continue to spread the love. And yeah, stay up.